In this video, we look at the WASSCE 2023 General or Core Mathematics paper, the Nigerian paper. That is question number 6. It says that solve log x to base 3 plus log x minus 8 to base 3 equals 2. So that is an equation. We see the equal sign here. So we have, or we can say that log to base 3 of x plus log to base 3 of x minus 8 equals 2. So which of these options is correct? Which of these that when we put here and there, we will get 2 here. Before we start, if today is your first time on my students class channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification button so that you'll be promptly informed anytime we upload a new video. And hey, one more thing, click the like button so that the video can reach a lot of people. Thank you. Now let's continue. Now let us look at this. Before I even begin, because of this sign, because of this negative sign, I can guess the correct answer without even solving it. Let's check. Now forget about this term, forget about log x to base 3. Let's look at this term, log x minus 8 to base 3. Now if we put 6 here, if we put 6 into x here, we will have 6 minus 8, which gives us negative 2. Now log of negative number is undefined. It is not a real number, so that is undefined. So that means that makes the option A incorrect, because we cannot find the logarithm of a negative number. We will not get a real number. Now when you put 7 here, in the same vein, 7 minus 8, you get negative 1. Log of a negative number is undefined, so that makes B2 incorrect. Now when you put 8 here, 8 minus 8 is 0. Now log 02 is undefined. So what I want to say is that there is no number that we will raise to a power that we will get 0 here. So we don't, because even x to the power or any number to the power 0 gives 1. So there is no number that we raise to another number that we will get 0. Now when we say log 0, it is undefined. Log 0 does not give a real number, so that is also undefined. So the correct option is 9. That is D. As simple as that. Now if you don't believe me, let us solve this and see. Alright, so we have log x base 3 plus log x minus 8 base 3 equals 2. Now the first thing we need to check is to make sure that the two logarithms have the same base. We have base 3, base 3. Alright, if they have the same base, that is very cool. We can apply the laws of logarithms. The laws of logarithms, one of the laws says that now if we have the same base and we don't have any number in front of the log, that is no coefficient, or if the coefficient is say 1, then we can add these two logarithms. Now log here, we write the log once, so log and the base is 3. Then if we have addition, we change it to multiplication. So we write the x here, so we have x, then we have times, then we have x minus 8 equals 2. Now the best way to write the whole of this is as simple as this. You just write log to base 3, then you write x, then you attach the x minus 8 here. That is very simple. So that is the best way to write it, because in between the x and the brackets there is times there. Now the next thing we do is that we have been able to reduce the logarithm from 2 logs to just 1 log. So we have to take away the log. In other words, we say we take antilog. So we apply what we call the definition of logarithm. So the logarithm of a number is a number that when we raise the base to, we will get that number we want. In other words, we will write the number here because it is log of x into bracket x minus 8. So that is the entire number. So we write the number x times x minus 8. Then this base will raise this to a power, so we have 3 raised to the power 2, and we have x, we will expand this, x times x, we have x squared, then we have x times minus 8, we have minus 8ers, then 3 to the power 2 is 9. Be very careful here. 3 to the power 2 means 3 times 3. It doesn't mean 3 times 2. No, 3 times 3. All right, so let us rearrange this because that is a quadratic equation. So let us subtract 9 from both sides of the equal sign to bring the 9 to the left side. So minus 9 here, then we will have 8x minus 9, and here will be 0. Okay, so we have s squared minus 8s minus 9, and we can solve this using the method of factorization. We can also solve this using completing the squares, and of course we can use the quadratic formula if you want to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna try the first one because I can see that we can find factors here. 8 and 9 is gonna be pretty simple. So using factorization, we have x squared minus 8x minus 9 equals 0. So what we do is that we find a coefficient of x squared, that is 1. So 1 here, and 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. We find the factors of negative 9, which when we add, we get negative 8 here, and that is going to be negative 9 and positive 1. Because negative 9 times 1, we get negative 9, but negative 9 plus 1, we get negative 8. So we put it here. So we have x squared, and in place of negative 8, I'm going to put these two there. I'm going to write either minus 9 plus 1, or I'm going to write 1 minus 9. Okay, so I'm going to put the first one there, minus 9 plus 1, but because we have negative 8x here, it's going to be negative 9x plus 1x. 1x is the same as x, so minus 9 equals 0. So I can use this to solve it. That is because addition is commutative. I can bring negative 9 first and bring the positive 1 later. You know, x is the same as 1x, or I can have x squared and I'll bring the 1x, that is the x first, and I'll bring the the negative 9x, then I'll add minus 9 equals 0. So whichever way you arrange it, you get a correct answer. But with this one, you have to be very careful, as I'm going to show you here. So when you have 4 terms here on the left hand side of the equal sign, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, you put the first two into brackets like this, then you put their second 2 terms into bracket. Now you factorize out the common terms or the factors here, x squared and negative 9x. I can bring out x. Here I'll be left with x minus 9, and here too I can bring out 1, so 1 is already out, so I have x minus 9 here. Now what you have to be very careful here is that anytime you do the factorization, you must make sure that the terms in the brackets are all equal. All right, so you bring out these terms together. Here we have 1 here, so you bring the 2 together, so you have x here, you bring the x and then the positive 1 together as 1, then you write this 2 as 1. X minus 9 equals 0. All right, so you say either x plus 1 equals 0 or x minus 9 equals 0. All right, so if I want to find x, this will be x equals negative 1 or x equals positive 9. And of course, this cannot be the correct answer because we have said that we cannot find the logarithm of a negative number. That is, if we put negative 1 here, we are going to have log negative 1 to base 3. That is not defined. So the correct answer is 9. Now, if you had done it this way, I want us to look at this because it's very important. Many students make mistakes here. Now, if you put the first 2 terms into bracket, you know, if you rearrange it this way, that's when you bring the 1 first before you bring the negative. If a negative sign separates the 4 terms into 2 terms, that's on the left and the right, you have to be extremely careful here. Now, the moment you bring a bracket here, that is the point I want to make here. Because of this negative sign, this 9s, the term here, I want to use a blue ink here. The term here, that is negative sign, the sign here, the negative sign here will change to positive. So we have positive here, then we have 9 here. Why? The reason is pretty simple. It is because we have negative here. Because if you really want to understand what we're doing here, then you have to expand it to see. You don't want to change the question, do you? Because if you expand this, negative 1 times 9x, of course we will get negative 9x, and negative 1, because there is a 1 here, right? Negative 1 here. Negative 1 times 9, you get negative 9 back. So if you hadn't changed this, if you had left this to be negative, then negative 1 times negative 9, you would have had positive 9, which would have changed the question, because in the question we see the negative 9, that is the constant c, is negative 9, it's not positive. So always the way you arrange it, if you have a positive and a negative term, the way you arrange it is pretty much important. You have to be very careful with your arithmetic. So from here you bring out x, you have x plus 1, you bring out 9, you have x plus 1. So you can see that the terms here are the same. If you hadn't changed this, here would have been negative and here would have been positive, and that should have told you that you had made a mistake, because always the terms in the bracket have to be the same. So if you're not too sure about it, let me tell you this, always the term on the right have to copy the term on the left. All right, so let's see this. So you bring x and negative 9 together, just as we did in the former one. So you have x negative 9 together here, then you have x plus 1. So we get the same thing, pretty much the same thing, because multiplication is commutative. So first we had x plus 1 here, and we had x minus 9. So x plus 1, x minus 9, and here we are having x minus 9 first, and x plus 1 is the same thing. Now when we multiply two terms and we get 0, it means that either one of them is 0 or the two are 0. So we say either the x minus 9 equals 0, or we say x plus 1 equals 0. So s is equal to 9 or s is equal to negative 1. Of course, we can take logarithm of a negative number, so that makes x equals 9 correct. So you can also try this with the completing the squares, and the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus minus root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a, where b is the coefficient of x, a is the coefficient of s squared, and c is the constant negative 9 that we see here. So you can also try it with these approaches, and we have the same answer over there. So that is how we solve it here, but this is an objective question, so you could have tried the options here even if you did not know that the logarithm of a negative number is undefined, and as such, and because of that 6, 7, and 8 are incorrect, and the only correct answer is D. You could have as well used the calculator. Let's look at it too. So that is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to look at the left side of the equation, and I'll try to simplify this at these options and see which one gives me 2. So I'll start by typing what I have here. Now you have two logarithm buttons. The first one is here, the number one that we see, that is log to base 10, and we have a logarithm button here that gives you the chance to also enter your own base. So I'm not going to use base 10, so I'll type this, which will give me the chance to enter my base, because my base here is 3. So I can see the blinking cursor here, so I'll type 3 for base 3, and I'll press on the right cursor key to move it into the bigger box, and I'll type x. X is not times, please, it's x, and that is the red x here. So because it's x, because it is a red character, I have to first press on the alpha button, then I'll come and press on the x. So I see the cursor in the brackets, so I have to move it outside the brackets. I'll press on the right cursor key, it moves it out, and I'll type plus, then another log again, base 3, press on the right cursor key. Now you type alpha x minus 8. Okay, I'm not going to type the left hand side, I'm just going to evaluate this at these options and note which of these will give me 2. All right, so I'll press on calc, and I'll be asked the value of x. Forget about the 66, it is something in memory that I've done in the past. So let me type 6 and press on the equal sign. What do I see? I see math error. Oh, there is a problem here, math error, and that is very true, because when you put 6 into the left hand side, 6 minus 8 gives me negative 2. So the calculator is telling me that I cannot find logarithm of a negative number. It's a mathematical error, it is undefined. So absolutely option A is not correct. All right, so I'll press on the left cursor key to bring out the function again. Don't press on AC or on, press on this, it will come back again. Then you press on calc again, then you change the value to 7. So let me press 7 and press on the equal sign. Again, math error, it's a mathematical error. Why? It is pretty simple, because if you put 7 into this, 7 minus 8 is negative 1. Once again, I am finding the logarithm of a negative number here, the second term, and that's why the calculator is telling me the truth. I cannot find the logarithm of a negative number here. All right, let me press on this cursor key and try the C. So I'll press on the calc again, and I'll change it to 8, and I'll press on the equal sign. Another one, mathematical error, and that is also very true, because when I put 8 here, 8 minus 8, I get 0. Log 0 is also undefined. I cannot find the logarithm of 0. I cannot raise any number to any power to get the number 0. So logarithm of 0 does not also exist. So log of a negative number, log of 0, all the three do not exist, only 9. All right, so the correct option is 9, but I'm going to confirm it here. So I'll press calc, and this time around I'm going to choose 9, and I should see 2 there. That is the right hand side here. So I'll press on the equal sign. Oh, see, it's 2. All right, so that makes it correct. So you don't even need to go through this mess if it is objectives. You don't have to solve this, you don't have to understand this. Just seeing the sign, the equal sign there, should give you the idea that when you evaluate the left side expression, you should get what is on the right, because that is what it means. It is as simple as that. That is log x to base 3 plus log x minus 8 base 3. When you put in any value into the x value, you must get 2 because it's an equation. So that is how we solve it.